Hello everyone, and welcome to my second ever theory. This one is actually serious, it isn't like a joke. But enough with the preamble, let's get on to the theory. What is a dark world? Although Rousey states that dark worlds aren't real, I don't think that's quite exactly true. Dark worlds do appear to be real in some ways. We can see them being created and watch them fill spaces in a room like gas. Events in the dark world do have impacts on the light world, and some items seem to stay mostly the same in the light world and the dark world. Both weird and normal route, Birdly can sustain injuries in the dark world that carry over to the light, and Kenna is severely damaged in the light world but can somehow be fixed in the dark world despite being completely broken in the light world. And as for the items that stay the same or very similar are the egg, the shadow crystal, and the black shard. The shadow crystal is an interesting case because it appears to be like an actual magic item, as it lets you see into what's either another timeline, another world, or something, but it is definitely magic in some way. But enough with the items and the people and the everything else. Let's get on to the real meat of this. Dark worlds have some weird properties that no one really talks about. We all know that it brings the inanimate to life, but no one really talks about how it makes small rooms into massive spaces, like cities, forests, and whatever the church dark world is. I don't even know what that is, but it's huge. Dark worlds distort space in much stranger ways than that. I believe that dark worlds are non-Euclidean in some way. There are hints to this in first two chapters with the egg room and quick travel door, but it really starts to ramp up in chapters 3 and 4. This door is our first hint that the areas are non-Euclidean in nature. Not only do they just let you go places by walking through them, that shouldn't be possible. We all know that you can't walk through a door and go to a different place that isn't directly connected, but it also bears a striking resemblance to Sans' door. And Sans has a joke in his house where he infinitely stacks books inside of each other, which is technically non-Euclidean geometry. And as for the egg room, well, the egg room is really weird as you enter it by walking back and forth in between two rooms until you finally get inside. And once you do, when you leave, you get sent back in the level, not directly where you came in from, which implies that you are moving through non-Euclidean geometry. But on to chapters 3 and 4, which makes this a little more obvious than what is shown now. In each chapter, you head right the entire time from the perspective of your screen. But in chapter 3, you head the opposite way that the fountain was actually formed. If you pay attention, you're actually facing the couch, which is not the way that you were facing at the end of the chapter. If the direction you were going in actually made sense, you would be going this way, but that's just a dead end. More proof of this is the fact that the green room may be Chris's room, but despite that, the dark fountain is only 4 rooms away from it, to the right. Chapter 4 has the most examples of seemingly nonsensical level layouts. First, the map is insanely tall compared to the actual rooms it is set in. The layout of the map changes when the lights are turned on. And this room right here is the most blatant form of nonsensical geometry I've ever seen. It is basically just this image I showed you earlier. But what conclusions can we draw off this? Well, obviously, dark worlds are magic. This is very obvious at this point of the video. But dark worlds are not only a place of illusions, they are also a place of space folding in on itself, allowing people to walk through areas much larger than they are supposed to be, and take paths that don't make any sense, that lead back in on themselves despite the fact you've only walked in a straight line. So basically, dark worlds are space-time warping magic dimensions. Or something like that. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe and leave a comment and all that stuff if you liked it. More memes soon. Trust me, I'm working on them.
Bye-bye!